My spouse's domineering employer slid his fingers under my spouse's skirt and declared, "Leave. She belongs to me now or confront me." Manto Man. 10 minutes afterward, he was unable to stand, speak, or move. I shattered his bones. Chapter 1. The lunch that was supposed to be routine. I recall the afternoon so vividly it might as well be engraved in memory. My spouse had at last said yes to joining me for lunch close to where she worked. She'd been doing late shifts, constantly drained, working hard to satisfy an employer who always expected more. She dismissed my worries, claimed that's simply the corporate grind. But I sensed something heavier pressing on her. I figured maybe a peaceful lunch would help. Just us. No pressure, no meetings, just time to show her that beyond boardrooms and deadlines, she was still cherished deeply. We met at a cozy bistro near the city center, with sunlight spilling through broad glass panes. She beamed when she spotted me, though it was a weary smile. I stretched over the table, held her hand, and we chuckled for a bit about how hideous my tie looked. For 20 minutes, things felt natural, relaxed, right. Then he entered. Bastian Drew, her employer. The sort of man who strutted like the world was his to control. Flashy watch, flawless haircut, that predatory smirk that made skin crawl. He ignored me at first. He saw her. His gaze latched onto her like she was a thing he'd bought already. The entire room's energy changed instantly. She tensed up, her fork shaking in her grip. I leaned in and asked, "What's up?" She replied, "It's nothing. Just eat." But I knew better. I looked up and caught him approaching. He didn't slow, didn't care about lines. He pulled out a seat like he belonged at our table. "Kevin," he muttered, his tone velvety and derisive. Didn't realize it was a family moment. I disliked how he uttered my name, like I was forgettable. My spouse tried to interrupt. "Bastian, we're trying to," but before she could finish, his palm rested on her shoulder. And in one sweeping motion, he leaned closer and let his hand glide down, fingers creeping under her skirt. "Leave," he commanded, grinning with smug confidence. "She's mine now. Or confront me, Manto Man." The usual dining chatter vanished. No utensils clinking, no background noise, only the thump of my pulse and my spouse's audible gasp as she shoved his hand away. The laughter he let out, like he owned her, like I was just some hurdle, sparked something deep inside me I didn't know existed. I stood, my chair screeching on the floor. Her eyes went wide, not at him, but at what I might do. And I saw it then. This wasn't some guy overstepping. This was a predator thinking he could shame both of us and escape untouched. He didn't see what was coming. Chapter 2. The standoff. Outside, the space between us thickened. My spouse looked pale, lips quivering like she wanted to stop me, but lacked the words. Bastian scoffed, brushing off her protest like a joke. "Chill out, darling," he murmured, voice oozing contempt. "Your man knows the game. Guys like him always move aside when actual men walk in." The entire place went still. Everyone was watching. Some were already filming. I leaned in, speaking calmly. "Remove your hand and back off." He snorted. "Or what? Lawsuit? A blog post?" "No, Kevin. Prove your worth, out here." Manto Man. He craved an audience. He craved dominance. But he sealed his fate the second he laid a finger on her. I nodded. "Outside." Then she tugged on my sleeve. "Kevin, don't." I gazed at her, then at him. "I have no choice." We exited into the brisk daylight, onlookers pushing against the windows. A few stepped outside, phones rolling. Bastian loosened his collar like he was on stage, rolling his neck dramatically. "Final warning," he spat. "Leave her, or I take her. Now?" That was it. That was the spark. He charged, fists flailing, expecting submission. But pride makes fools clumsy. I blocked, sidestepped, drove a punch into his side. The snap echoed. He stumbled back, shocked, smile wiped clean, and there it was. Terror. "Still feel alpha?" I asked. He swung once more, slower this round. I dodged, grabbed his wrist, wrenched until his shoulder cracked. His scream tore the air. Onlookers gasped. 10 minutes. That's all I needed. 10 minutes of clean counters and silent fury until Bastian Drew. Mr. Invincible, Mr. Bossman, was a wreck on the sidewalk. Legs limp, words jumbled, pain-racked and ruined. Phones caught it all. Every word, every blow, every collapse. My spouse stood frozen, tears streaking her cheeks. Not fear, liberation. I loomed over him, breath ragged. "Touch her again," I warned. and I'll break more than bones. Then I re-entered the bistro, leaving him crumpled in the street, his image shattered and his body aching. Chapter 3. The Consequences. The officers arrived quicker than expected. Bastian lay twisted on the ground, clutching his shoulder, groaning in disbelief. Witnesses were already recounting everything, phones playing footage. "Sir, stay back," one officer barked. His hand edged toward his belt. I raised both arms. I defended her. "Check the restaurant's footage." My spouse's voice was shaky. He touched me inside. Everyone saw. The officers looked at one another. This wasn't some word-against-word mess. Half the venue had watched it happen. Footage existed. The hostess emerged, pointing. He groped her, in full view of her partner. She told him no. A man with glasses chimed in. He threatened her, said, "She's mine." I heard it. Loud. Clear. Notes scribbled rapidly. One cop murmured, "Looks like clear harassment." For once, Bastian's ego cracked. He mumbled defenses, none of which landed. He started it, but no one was buying it. Not with testimony. Not with video. I was escorted for questioning. "Routine," they said. She accompanied me, hand trembling in mine. At the precinct, Detective Monroe spun a laptop. Footage from the bistro played. His fingers under her skirt. Her reaction. His dare. My rage. Monroe snapped the lid shut. "Seems obvious. You defended her. That's what we'll report. But be warned. He has power. And men like that push back. Be prepared." I nodded. I've been ready since his hand moved. News erupted. Fists and fury get views. By the time we left the building, the fight was trending. Hashtags like hashtag Alphabo Stakedown and hashtag with her now spread across platforms. His co-workers started leaking stories. Emails, complaints buried by HR, rumors finally shouted out loud. Women he'd cornered. Threats disguised as meetings. Promises turned threats. The company released a cold statement. "We are investigating," but it was irrelevant. The world had seen the truth. Days later, my attorney called. "They want to settle," he said, chuckling. "Quiet payout, non-disclosure, the usual. They know a trial drags out demons. And they can't afford more bruises, literal or metaphorical." I leaned back, phone against my cheek. "Tell them no. We don't want hush. We want justice." My spouse nearby smiled. Not with relief, but with pride. The pride of watching a beast fall. Bastian Drew thought he was safe. That day, I crushed bones. Now, his entire persona was crumbling. Chapter 4. The Reckoning. Bastian Drew's attorneys came blazing. Designer suits, expensive shoes, and polished lines. They framed me as a violent spouse who lost control in public. But truth cut deeper than their polished lies. The prosecutor played the security video in court. A massive screen showed the entire thing. The jury leaned in, watching his fingers move under her skirt. Her recoil. His smug face. The words, "Leave. She's mine now." Or "Face me man to man." The silence was heavy. Even the judge fidgeted. The hostess testified. He touched her. She told him no. People saw. Then came the man with glasses. He started it. Called her his. Never seen anything so shameless. More witnesses echoed the same details. His legal team began visibly drowning. But the real shock arrived when the corporate inquiry records were unveiled. Dozens of grievances. HR files hidden under resolved informally. Assistants recounting gropes, cornered encounters, quiet threats. One woman, eyes wet, murmured on the stand. I believed no one would believe me until I saw the footage. The courtroom's air shifted. The jury didn't just glimpse an entitled man. They glimpsed a predator protected for years. When his turn to speak came, Bastian tried to revive his swagger. He spoke of being misread, of gestures miscast. But then the prosecution rolled the clips captured by strangers' phones. His tone, his sneer, his phrase, "Leave, she's mine now," filled the chamber once more. Whatever composure he had shattered, the jury debated less than 3 hours, guilty of harassment, guilty of assault. And though the court gave me no medal, my charges, excessive force, were cleared. The judge's last words still echo in my head. "Mr. Drew, law is not a refuge for predators. Deeds have weight. Today you bear yours." My spouse wept softly against me. Across from us, Bastian's proud frame sagged. His fortress of fear collapsed in a single utterance. Guilty. And for the first time, I saw him as he truly was. Not alpha, not boss, but coward stripped before everyone. Bastian Drew thought he could break me publicly. Instead, The world broke him. Chapter 5. The Ruin. Bastian Drew's plunge wasn't a tumble. It was a bottomless descent. The morning after the verdict, his firm announced, "Effective now, Mr. Drew is dismissed. We do not accept misconduct." But everyone already knew. They'd accepted it for years until he became a liability too large to conceal. First vanished his role, then his image. Sponsors withdrew deals. Conferences canceled. The glossy cover once flaunting his grin ran a follow-up. From alpha to outcast, the rise and fall of Bastian Drew. Backers withdrew. Partners who once bowed now swore they'd never met him. And lawsuits poured in. One by one, women silent for years found courage to speak. Our case split the dam, and now the flood raced through. The bench ordered damages for my spouse. It wasn't mere cash. It was recognition. A formal stamp saying, yes, this occurred. Yes, it was wrong. Yet ours was only the first crack. Each claim bled his funds. Offshore caches he thought untouchable were frozen mid-probe. The man bragging of penthouses, imports, bespoke suits, now unloaded everything to pay fees. By year's end, no more luxury. Just a one-bedroom rental, ducking reporters, hiding behind shades like prey. But his deepest wound wasn't financial. It was social. The men who once hailed him alpha now smirked at his back. The women he cornered, finally free, stood tall while he shrank. His name turned toxic. No one wanted proximity. No one risked the stain. The empire he ruled turned away. My spouse and I crossed the aftermath quietly. No longer revenge. Healing. The nightmares thinned. Her trembling eased. She began smiling again. True smiles that reached her eyes. One night she murmured, "You didn't just defend me. You returned my voice." And I realized the real win wasn't shattering his bones. It was shattering his mirage of control. Bastian Drew had said, "She's mine now." But truth was clear. She was never his. And the only thing truly his was ruin. Chapter 6. The Quiet Victory. Months rolled on. The noise of trials faded into the city's churn of headlines. New scandals rose. For us, life found rhythm. She no longer walked her workplace burdened by dread. Bastian Drew's name, once a daily specter, became a footnote in HR and old news feeds. She moved to another department under a leader who valued skill, not vulnerability. Watching her flourish again, watching her return with laughter not tears, was the sweetest triumph. I wasn't untouched. The clash left its trace, not just in sore hands or cautious steps, but in my grasp of how easily dignity can fracture. Strangers stopped me at gas pumps, at store aisles. Saw what you did, they'd whisper, "Good on you." But pride wasn't what lingered. Clarity was. I hadn't merely fought a man. I'd stood before a predator sure no one would oppose him. And in that act, I learned silence is complicity. Bits of his downfall reached me through rumor. The suits dragged on. His wealth dissolved. Former allies refused to stand. His once dreaded voice absent from boards, from summits, from stages. The self-proclaimed alpha now survived in murmurs of pity. His roar reduced to hush. One night near the fire, my spouse asked, "Do you regret it, breaking him?" I waited long, then shook my head. "I don't regret defending you," I said. "And I don't regret ending his illusion of taking what he wanted. Some only learn when forced to feel powerless." She leaned on my shoulder, whispering, "Then you taught him." In the end, it wasn't his shattered bones that mattered. It was the shattered cycle, the full stop on his reign. He would never grope another diner. He would never smirk past accountability again. That was the real answer. Holding her hand, steady in mine, I grasped something deeper. Justice isn't only court verdicts. Sometimes it starts when you decide enough. Epilogue. When power meets cost, they claim revenge is empty. That breaking someone hollows you. But they forget the revenge born of need, of love, of dignity, of survival. Bastian Drew thought himself untouchable. Thought money, rank, arrogance made him a deity. Thought my spouse was just another prize, and I another man too timid to resist. But in 10 minutes, he learned the lesson he'd dodged for decades. Power without respect is fragile paper. One strike, one crack, and it disintegrates. He lost all: career, fortune, status. His name, once a badge of fear, became a warning. His plunge was the story whispered in boardrooms. Don't unlike him. He thought he crushed women. He thought he cowed men. But in the end, his own hubris crushed him. We gained more than calm. We gained liberty. She no longer walks hunched, no longer startles at echoes. She laughs again, dreams again. She is no one's possession. And I bear that day's memory like a scar, but not one of regret. It shows me love isn't only flowers and vows. It's standing when someone tries to rip away your family, your dignity, your humanity. Revenge isn't always fists. Sometimes it's stripping the one thing your foe treasures most and showing they never earned it. For Bastian, that was power. For us, it was freedom. And while his bones mended, his name never did. In the end, I didn't just break a man. I broke the illusion he could own us, and that is a victory no one can ever take. Was this revenge fully right? Or should the storm have burned hotter? Leave your judgment below. I read them all. Press like if you crave justice and share this fire with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Lauren's story because here betrayals don't sleep. They stalk their masters. Every shadow holds a reckoning. Every mask shatters. And every betrayal is answered.